Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting edition of today's series on scholarships for Japan. Today we will talk about Honjo International Scholarship, which is one of the very best that you can ever have a scholarship in Japan. I think it's worth more than the JICA scholarship or worth more than the MEX scholarship in terms of the actual amount that you receive that will support you with your studies. It is a very lucrative scholarship. There's not so many applicants, but I will dive deep into it. But please subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell. Thank you very much for doing these. I'll go nitty gritty, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about the Honjo scholarship, what it is, a number of places that they usually admit every year, and the way it is generally structured. So the Honjo scholarship, I will leave the link in the description box. You can read a little bit about it, but I'm just gonna go straight to what matters and what's important to you. This scholarship is open twice a year for the fall quarters and the spring quarters. So if you want to take part in school, or if you want to school and have this scholarship sponsor your education, for the fall semester you have to apply in April. You've got 1 month to apply. April 1st to April 30th, usually of most years, it's you apply for starting school in fall. If you are to start school in the spring, you should apply between September 1st and October 30th to start school in April of the next year. So this scholarship is open for doctorate students and master students. However, you must be to study your master's for over a year. So if there's any academic program that you want to do which is less than 1 year, then automatically you're ineligible to apply for the Honjo scholarship. And the amounts vary. Usually it's about 200,000 Japanese yen for those who are studying between 1 and 2 years. That's for those who are master students. If it's between 2 to 3 years, usually about 180,000 Japanese yen, and for those who are studying for about 5 years, it's usually about 150,000 Japanese yen per month. And when you apply for these scholarships, there is a link I'm going to leave in the description box where you can read everything about it. And the application is online. So first off, you have to submit you have to create an account with them online, and then you will upload all the necessary documents that they will require from you. Next up is that you should watch out for age, because it's for a PhD it's 35, and for the master's program it's 30 years old. So you want to check out your age based on if you're applying for the spring semester or you're applying for the fall or the autumn semester. So it's very important for you to check on that, and they are very strict with respect to that. The number of positions are generally open for either the doctorate or the master's is 5 positions, so it's kind of really very competitive. And you are supposed to have had an admission letter or very sure of having an admission letter. So you can apply without having the admission letter, but you will provide online a tentative date for which you are sure of receiving your admission letter. So this is kind of very important, but usually you want to show your admission letter that you've been admitted, and then you can take part in the scholarship. So and this scholarship span through any university around Japan, so it doesn't have to be any specific university, and you apply directly to the scholarship board. You don't have to wait for the school to apply for you or submit documentations for you. No. So once you submit your documents online, there is going to be a check, and once this checked and there is no problem with your documents, so they would send you information. But please, when you apply online, make sure you retain or you download and print out the number, because there's going to be an identity number that will be allocated to each applicant. And then the final result, usually about 2 months later, will be published on the website for the Honjo International Scholarship. There you can check it, and then of course they will let you know. And even when you go for an interview, because there's an interview for this scholarship, And usually the interview is done in Japanese, so you want to watch out. It's not very difficult, okay? It's like really pretty easy. So it's basic Japanese, and sometimes they'll try to support you, but they just want to see the fact that you can, try to speak Japanese. It's not anything serious. It's not a trap. It's no nothing. So the interview is usually conducted in very simple basic Japanese N5. You can do this. And next up is that before you apply, as one of the requirements, you need to provide a research plan. So Honjo International Scholarship is very keen on seeing the international relationship that you are trying to build, a rapport that you think your home country, if you're an American, if you're an African, if you're a Latino, or from Latin America, if you're from Asia, Honjo is interested in knowing what rapport in terms of collaboration you want to build between your home country and Japan. That's very important to them. So if you clearly make that stand out in your application letter, there is a very high probability that you will gain a position or that you will be called for an interview. And the Honjo scholarship is very lucrative, I can rest assure you. Once you're under scholarship sponsor, you're living in the country in Japan, there is just a few things, do's and don't do's. Once you're already with the scholarship, what you're supposed to do is follow the rules of the scholarship, which I'm going to leave the link in the description, and you can check it out by yourself. The next thing about it is that, even if you get a job, you want to get a job that's related to academia and part-time, and you follow the number of hours that someone with a student visa is supposed to carry out in Japan. I think it's about 20 or 30, I'm not very sure, but please, those things change always, so you want to check with the immigration and see. Usually it's very easy to obtain it. They will put a stamp right at the back of your passport, so they call it generally some hanko. They put it, and that's all, which shows that you're eligible to do some kind of work and support your studies more. That is very important. Next up also is that once you're already in the graduate school, usually if you have some kind of seminar or conference that you want to attend abroad, the Honjo scholarship actually covers for that. So there's a budget allocation for that in terms of the regulations of the Honjo International Scholarship. So they would support your trip abroad till you're back to Japan. So that's very, very important, and that's very lucrative. A lot of scholarship will not support you for taking part in conferences abroad. All right, and also once you're within the Honjo scholarship, you want to abide by the laws and the rules, because if you do not abide by the law and the rules, then there is a chance that they could revoke your scholarship, stop you from receiving more, or even ask you to refund the ones that you have received already. But it's a very rare case, and it's the same with all scholarships. One thing too is that you have to always provide your documents either in English or Japanese, and if you have a degree in a tier's language apart from these two, you have to attach a certified translated copy alongside with your document. But everything is scanned and uploaded. Of course, you need a recommendation letter as well from your supervisor or your mentor, and he has to clearly state the kind of things that things that are important about you. You have to orient your mentor and tell him the kind of things that you want him to put on the recommendation letter. And there is an email address which I'm gonna put somewhere here on your screen, so you can directly send the information, or you can directly upload it, the recommendation letter by yourself, or your mentor can directly send the recommendation letter through this email address right here. It's very, very important. And so basically that's the Honjo scholarship. It's not complicated to get, it's very easy to get, but you just have to be very watchful in terms of following the rules in terms of the application form. So the application form is very easy, and I'm gonna put the link for the site and where you can actually have access to the application form, because you need an ID once you log in. The application form actually has 4 parts. So it starts from part A, part B, part C, and part D. So you have to fill all these parts online and make sure you close them out. So usually the application forms have a certain period for which they are open, as I said earlier, and only during those windows will you have access to this site. So you must make sure all your documentation is available. So as of those who want to attend school in the spring, so the application portals will of course be open from 1st of September till October. But those who are attending school in May, in this fall, that's in October, the application form was open in April and closes in May. So that is very important. They give you some time to update or upload the recommendation letter or your application letter from your mentors. There's two main processes. The first screening, where they screen for your documents to see if you actually meet the the criteria for being chosen or for being sponsored. And then the next one is actually an interview. So they have an interview, and after you pass this, you're good to be part of the scholarship. So it's a very easy process. It's not very complicated, and it's one of Japan's top and best scholarships. So I'll advise you to apply for this. I'll leave all the links in the description box, and if you have any questions or anywhere, please leave them in the description box and I'm gonna attend to them. Thank you very much for listening. Please, you wanna subscribe, you wanna hit a notification bell, and until then, I'm gonna give you more information about scholarships in Japan. Stay tuned, and bye bye for now.